Welcome to Mastering the Art of Success. I'm your host, Debbie DiMaggio. We are here today with Dwan Bent-Twyford. Welcome, Dwan.
Hey, thanks for having me on today. I'm excited to be here.
Excited to have you here. I think we planned this like 6 months ago or something.
Yeah, I've been playing with a long time ago. I'm glad it's finally here.
I know, great. And so you are currently, and I'm visual, so I always get a lay of the land. You reside in Colorado and you have a home in Florida, but you are currently visiting your new grandbaby and daughter in Los Angeles, and I'm
That's
in
right.
Northern California today. So let's dive in. Dwan Bent-Twyford, America's most sought after real estate investor, started as a broke single mom and has since personally flipped over 2,000 properties. Known as the queen of short sales, she is the nation's #1 expert on short sales and foreclosures. She is a 3-time best-selling author, including her New York Times bestseller, SuccessOnomics, co-written with Steve Forbes. Dwan has been featured on Fox and Friends, MSNBC, and various other media outlets, and hosts the most Dwanderful real estate podcasts ever. Currently, she and her husband are embarking on their most ambitious project yet, rehabbing an entire town. Wow. Welcome, Dwan. I did
Ah,
not read
so
that. I did not read the bio before. And yeah, I'm like, rehabbing what? An entire
a
town?
town, a town. If we
A
have time, we'll get to it.
Oh my gosh. All right. Before we go to your current project, let's go back. Wow. You shared that you were a broke single mom at a major crossroads. What was the exact moment you decided this is where my life changes? And what did that decision feel like in real time?
So I was married and I was 30 and my daughter was 8 months old. And I had this vision of being like the Girl Scout mom, the cookie mom, the field trip mom, the homeroom mom, like all the fun mom things. And when my daughter was 8 months old, her dad and I split up unexpectedly. So my entire world just crashed. I have an 8-month-old child. He took off with the car and the money, and I am not working. Like I mean, I like crashed and burned for a second.
Wow.
So, I took a couple weeks to sort of like lick my wounds and I was like, what am I going to do? Because I was 30 years old, so I waited till I was 30 to have a baby. I really wanted to do those things I mentioned. I thought,
Right.
well, if I get a job and put her in daycare, I'm 30. If I get a job, I'll have it till I'm 50. And when we're 30, we still think 50 is old.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll, I'll
Not
be,
anymore.
yeah, but now I'm 67 and I'm like, 80 doesn't really sound that bad anymore.
Right.
I was like, I knew I would work at least till 50 for somebody else. She'd be in daycare. I just made the decision and that was not acceptable. So I went job hunting, looking for something, anything. And because back then we had to use the classified section of the newspaper because
Yep.
Google wasn't until 1998. And
Right.
I just was going to job interviews, looking anything that said work from home, anything that said work from home. And as luck would have it, I met a couple guys and they said, oh, we buy houses and we fix them up and we sell them. And we buy cars and we fix them up and we sell them. So I know nothing about cars. So I was like, well, that won't work. I thought, but houses, they fix them up and they sell them. So in my naive mind, that meant decorating.
Okay.
Like, oh, I have good taste. I could decorate. I can buy a house. I can decorate, fix it up. I can sell it. Ayla can be with me. This will be perfect. So I found my first house, moved into it. It was trash. And after I painted, custom made blinds, had some carpet, I recognized that the house needed rehabbing, like full everything, new kitchens, new bathrooms, new everything. So again, back then there's no YouTube videos. So I went to
Right.
Home Depot and they used to teach live classes. So I'd take a live class. I learned how to tile, measured everything, bought everything, tiled the kitchen, tiled the bathroom, took classes, learned how to put cabinets together. It'll be sleeping and I'd be screwing cabinets together
You
and
did
we had
this all on, you were doing this on.
99% of it, 99% of it by myself. And when the house was done, I put it on the market. It sold 4 days later, 4 days, and I made 22,000 bucks. And I
Wow.
was like, so you know, in like 1989, 1990, that is a year's salary for people that have good jobs. And I was like,
Right.
$22,000, so rich right now. I'm going to do this again. I'm rich, you know. And I did
Wow.
another house. And then by the third house, I was like, I'm doing this forever. And
And
I
so
just,
did they give, you said you went to work for these people, or there was an ad. Did they give you that?
no, I never worked for them. They were just telling me what they do. And so
Okay.
we had lunch, you know, no, I did not ever, I never worked for anybody ever again. I just
Wow.
listened. They told me what to do. They're like, hey, you know, we'll give you a little help. And they will like drive to the courthouse in Palm Beach County, handwrite all the foreclosures, use one of those map books, go knock on doors. So I went like knocking on doors with a baby on my hip. Hey, I see you're in foreclosure. I'd like to buy your house. And as it turned out, during that time, I had my car repossessed because of the split up. I also did lose a house in foreclosure too. So I was like, I just went through this and now I have an opportunity to help other people. I feel like this would be a good fit for me. But after I did like the third house, I was like, I'm doing this forever because I'm helping people in foreclosure, mostly women with kids, just like myself. I thought nobody came to help me. If somebody would have knocked on my door, I would have been like, please help me with anything. So I think I
Right.
just took my own thing and then I started doing it. And after a couple of years, I was like, you know, I really like doing this.
That's
And now
incredible.
it's 35 years later. I've done over 2,000 deals on my own. And I've rehabbed and wholesaled, short saled, and commercial. And we're rehabbing a town. And it just grew into this really explosive thing.
So take people back how, so I know it's a little different now because a lot of people are getting into foreclosures, and I don't know about the different areas. I know in the San Francisco Bay Area it's very hard because you've got people going to the courthouse steps that have, they're tied to lawyers and title companies and all of these other professionals, right? And I've also heard they're doing deals and on the courthouse steps that is illegal. But so tell us how you did it. Were you just going door to door, and tell us how you did it?
You know, and the thing is, the what I did, people can still do today. If you, but now all the just about every courthouse in America is online. So
Okay.
back then, of course, nobody was online. But like my husband and I, we live in a very, very small town in the mountains, and it's so small that their courthouse is like a double wide trailer, so it's not online either. But
Okay.
99% of courthouses in the United States are online. So you just go to, you know, like the LA County Courthouse and you find all the foreclosures. And so the foreclosures are, and this is where people get confused. The day that the bank files those papers and says, I'm filing these papers against you, I'm making it public, I'm filing them at the courthouse, they are officially in foreclosure then. They're not in
Okay.
pre foreclosure. Pre foreclosure was when they were missing all their payments. So now they're in foreclosure. So the day of that foreclosure to the actual sheriff's sale or trustee sale where the bank can take possession of the house, that's probably an 8 or 9 month period.
Oh, it's
And
eight or
so,
nine.
oh, it's
Okay.
months. Sometimes it's a year. So every investor in town has time to find those people. So I would just still, even to this day, a couple times a year, I still go door knocking and map them out. I go knock on doors, I do a few deals here and there because you know it's really fun and I like to help people, and you know the money's really good. So, but what a lot of people do is they wait until like the homeowner lists it with an agent or it gets down to the sale, like you were saying, at the courthouse steps. And all those guys, they all make bag deals. You can get this one and I'll take that. Because I've been there and I've been to the courthouse steps 100 times. Never ever, that's the only way I've never been able to buy a house because all the guys that were in like the circle wouldn't let
Yep.
anybody into the circle. So the only method I've never bought a house with is the courthouse steps. Was I could never like get into the boys club.
Right.
And they do what you said was like, oh, they do you
Exactly.
wrong.
So
But this it's
you're
too
going ahead
late.
of time, door knocking and developing a relationship with these people.
Yeah,
Is that what?
yeah, and so I now I know a lot of people listening are like, I could never go door knocking. And I get it sounds scary, but honestly, because people are afraid to do it,
Right.
When the homeowner sees you at their door, they literally will be like, oh my God, you're an angel. God must have sent you to me today. I've been praying and you're standing on my door. They're not
Oh,
mad, not angry. But for the people that are like, Dwan, never am I going door knocking. It's okay. Get the names of all the people. You can find 99% of people online. You can find
okay.
them on Facebook and
Wow.
just write them a DM and say, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I work in your area. I specialize in helping folks like you that are in trouble to buy time to stay in their home. And so we don't say, I want to buy your house. We say, we want to help you buy time to stay in
Okay.
your home. And what could I do to help you? And then people will go, well, what do you mean buy time? I'm like, well, you could do a loan modification. You could do a forbearance agreement. There's a lot of things you could do to buy you more time. So I approach it as helping them buy time
Okay.
because nobody wants to, and the day they get served those papers the same day the courthouse does. They're not prepared to move out.
Right.
They've already missed payments. They've already missed maybe 10 or 12 payments before the bank actually files the papers. And they've got another 7 or 8 months or 6 months and before they actually have to move. So if you just like, oh, you got served papers today, I want to buy your house, they're not there.
Right.
They don't. They're not, so we don't say that. We say we want to help you buy time to stay in your house, and we just give them all the options. You can do a loan mod, a forbearance. You can do a bankruptcy. You can do all these things, and it'll buy you time. And then once you start helping them, and then they realize they actually cannot keep the house, then they'll say, "Dwan, will you buy my house?" And I'm like, "I will absolutely buy your house." So
So,
we offer to help them. We offer to help them buy time first because nobody's ready to move.
right. It's too
No,
soon. They're not even sure that it's just come too soon. So they haven't processed it.
Yeah, they haven't processed it. And that's what most investors, they just walk up and like, oh, I'll buy your house for cash. How fast can you move out?
Right.
They just got served papers. They're not there. So
Right.
I have found by offering to help them buy time, and I would be happy to. Like if they can buy a couple of months in a forbearance agreement, it gives them a few more months to save up money, it gives them a place to look for somewhere to go. It
Right.
gives them a minute to process, like, okay, I really cannot keep my house, but now I have a couple months to figure what I'm doing. And then other
Right.
people are just like, I'm so happy you're here today. Just take it. I just want to move out. I don't care. So I
And
think
then
it's
how,
more about more patient. And then, like I said, you can find them on Facebook. You can find people on LinkedIn. You can find almost everybody on Facebook.
so
And
once you get your list from the county, then you can start either door knocking or also reaching out to them on social media.
yeah, you can mail postcards. I mean, there's a million things that people can do. And because I think most, especially a new investor, I think they feel like, oh my gosh, if I knocked on the door, like what would I say? And
Right.
they're here, so they're like, can I just mail a postcard or can I talk to them on Facebook? Like you can do all those things, but eventually you're going to have to sit down with them, especially if you buy their house and sign papers and sign documents. Just go talk to people. But it's really
Right.
scary. A lot of people won't do it. But and the only reason I did is because back then the people I met were like, yeah, we just knock on doors, and I was like, oh, I can do this by myself. How hard could it be? Maybe and and just and it wasn't that hard. And because I did that first, I even 35 years later, it's my still my personal favorite
It's
because
just it's
it's just
comfortable for you.
easy, and people are honestly, you can't believe how many people just start bawling on the steps because
Right.
someone's there to help them. I mean, they really need help.
And go
And
back to the things that you offer, because I think what I love about what you said is you're not saying, hi, I'm here to buy your house. I see you're in foreclosure. It's really a much more softer, sorry, more womanly approach. You're offering to help them, and that's what we do. You're helping them. So go through the three things and describe them briefly: the bankruptcy, the forbearance, and the short sale. And if I
so
missed
I
any.
actually have a packet. I wish I had one with me today. It's called the Fed Up. It says, are you fed up with foreclosure? And it
Okay.
actually has 10 options. I said, these are your 10 options. So, number one, you can do a loan modification, but they have to qualify. And if they don't qualify, the bank's going to say no, which they usually do. They can do a forbearance. They could deed the house back to the bank, and the bank will just give them like $3,000 cash for keys. But that's not a good option because you deed the house back to the bank. They still put it on your credit. They still come after you for money. They could try to list it with an agent. If I meet a homeowner that has like $100,000 of equity, I'm like, you know what? You should list it. If you can list it for way below market, you might sell it in 30 days. Get all your money. Because if, and then they could try to refinance it, but it's usually too late for that. They can file bankruptcy, Chapter 13, which will buy them an entire year of being able to stay in their home. But then, they got to get an attorney involved, and like you were saying, people, attorney stuff. So they have a lot of options. But I would just say, listen, try a loan modification first. That's just where the bank takes the back payments and maybe divides them up or puts them on the back or does something. But the thing is with a loan mod, they have to make 3 to 6 payments on
Wow.
time. And they make, say, let's just say it's a 3-month, it's called a trial modification. So
Okay.
the bank says, I will put these payments on the back. We'll lower your interest rate by 1%. For the next 3 months, you have to make whatever the payment, $2,500. Before the first of the month, it has to be in the bank and a cashier's check. And then, so it's only 3. If you make all 3 payments, we'll make it permanent. And this is your new loan. Well, Debbie, 85% of the people don't make the first 3 payments.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, make your first payment. I'm going to call you next month and see how you did. I'll call the first month and say, Dwan, I made my payment. Next month, Dwan, the car, I need the brakes, I need the tires, I don't really have the money. And then they're like, can you just take my house? So 85% don't make all 3.
Right.
So if I'm not in a hurry to grab a deal today, and I'll help them and then call them back on the second and the third month, 100% of the time, they'll give me their house.
And so they give you the house. So one of the things was to list it with an agent, but what is your deal? What are you buying it for? Where are you coming up with your?
I'm going to either have it rehabbed and sold, depending on what, it's going to depend for me on what they owe. If they
Okay.
have a lot of equity, I'm just going to wholesale it. I'm going to tack on $40,000 or $50,000. I'm going to sell it to a rehabber or a landlord or to another investor.
Okay.
I don't really rehab anymore at all because it's like I rehabbed for a decade. I don't want to rehab anymore.
Okay. So
You
now
might
you're, so now you,
So
now you're,
sell. I'm going to wholesale and just take the money. I'm going to give them money so they get money to move with. They get a fresh start. I'm
okay.
never taking all the money. They always get enough. I just said, what do you need to move with? They're like, I need $7,000. It's like, okay, whatever I make, I'm giving you 7 of them. So whatever they want. I mean, within means. If they ask me for, 30 grand, it's like, no, you just missed 12 payments.
Right.
You don't get that much money. So I give them what they need and I make the rest. And I would typically sell to a rehabber or a landlord. I would just wholesale. If they owe exactly what it's worth, I might do a subject to, which is one of the options where I take it and I turn it into a rental. So subject to is one of the 10 options. Or I might call the bank and do a short sale and get the bank to take less as a full payment. And that's one of the 10 options too, is a subject to and a short sale. So between all of those, we can figure something out with every single person.
And then when
Our motto is like, no deals are left behind.
it's
If I
great.
get to contact them, I will figure it out.
So if someone wanted to turn the house, so I get the wholesale part when you're just going to they'll assign it to you and then you'll wholesale it and then you'll close the deal. If you were going to rehab it and take the property, or do you buy the property or you assume the property? How do you do it if you're going to rehab it?
Well, it would depend. If they were not too many payments behind, I would do what I call we call it an equity partner. So
Okay.
I would say, look, you guys are $20,000 behind. Instead of me coming up with the cash, I'll make up the 20,000. You're going to deed the house to me right now. You're going
Okay.
to move out. I'm going to rehab it. And
Okay.
then this is what my son does. 100%, all his deals, he does equity partnering. So he makes up the back payments. The people move out. They deed everything over to us, now, and we continue to make the payments. And when
Right.
that house is all done and fixed up and beautiful, then we sell it retail and we split the profit.
And you split the profit. Okay. Okay.
So we do those too. My son does only exclusively equity partnering. So he
Okay.
finds people that have a lot of equity and he's like, hey, I'll give you 5 grand to get moved out right now, deed everything to him. Cause people, you fix up their house and they're like, wow, it looks really great. I don't want to move now.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's happened to me. So we get them out and then we fix it up and then we take 10%, like if the house sells for 500, we take 10% as our fee because
Okay.
we fixed it up, we made the payments, then we split what's left 50-50. So and
Okay.
people love that too. So
Seems
but
fair.
yeah, so everything we always make sure everything is fair. And then, if we have to do like a short sale where the bank's gonna take less, well I have to buy it then.
Okay.
Because the bank wants to, they're gonna like it will take less, but you have to take it off the book. So with all the 10 options, some we can just make up back payments, some we can take a subject to, some we can rehab, some we can wholesale, some we can short sale. But in all of those, they get the foreclosure off of what's not on their credit and they get money. And then obviously we get money. And then if it gets fixed up, then some new family gets a beautifully rehabbed house. So it just is a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, we have to go to commercial break. We've gotten through one question. We'll be right back with Dwan. Thank you.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical. Mike Zorek, a 3-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths. He also won the Veterans Folk Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk.
Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Success. We're here with Dwan Bent-Twyford. She is the master of short sales and renovations and reinvention, I would say. So later in the show notes, we will add, or we'll have you tell people how they can do a one-on-one call with you and get your top 10 tips for helping someone through foreclosure. So redefining failure, getting fired, divorced, and starting over could break many people. How did you reframe those moments into fuel instead of setbacks? That was pretty pivotal in your 30s.
Oh, man, I tell you, you know how you just think like something like that could never happen to you? I mean,
Yes.
my husband was gone, took the car. I honestly had $75 in my purse. And I
Oh,
remember just being like, what the hell? I don't even know what's happening right now. And so, for like a week or two, I was hurt. And then I was embarrassed because my dad was like, you shouldn't marry him. But, that's where I got my daughter. So
right,
all good.
right.
And then I just kept thinking, like, well, I don't know what to do. I need to work. And then just somewhere along the way, my thought was, because my dad was a really great dad. He always told me and my sister, you can do anything. You're made out of good stuff. I heard my whole life, I heard you made out of good stuff and you can
Mhm.
do anything. So I thought, so this, I've heard this my whole life. I'm 30. My dad's even telling me now, you're made out of good stuff. You can do anything. You'll get through this. Just figure it out. And I just made the decision, like, I'm just going to work for myself because if I fail, I can get a job.
Right.
But I knew if I got a job, I'd keep it till she was 18 because then I'd have the security and the paycheck and, the insurance. And so I just thought, well, I'm just going to go for it. If I fail, I can get a job. But if I don't try, I'll just have a job until I'm an old woman. And then now I was like, 50 was so long ago. It's like, I'm not old now. And so I stepped out in a lot of faith and I was scared. I did that first house. So once I realized what kind of work it needed, I was at Home Depot every single day. And I was just like, and then after the first deal, I realized that being so naive was actually my best asset because if
Right.
I knew what I was getting into, I think I would have been afraid to do it. Because if I
Absolutely.
knew the full ins and outs of rehabbing, all of it, I think I would have been afraid. But because I didn't know in my mind, I'm like fixing it up. It's like, well, how hard can it be to decorate? I mean, everybody can decorate. So I think being naive was honestly the thing that made it easy for me because it didn't occur to me I would fail because I always heard I could do anything. And I know I'm made out of good stuff, so how could I fail? And then once I was in it, I was like, there's a lot of paperwork, there's contracts, there's closings, I got to find title. I don't know anything that I'm doing right now. So I feel like with people listening today, because we have so much information on the internet, I feel like
Yes.
for people today, it's hard to decide who to choose or trust because there's a
Right.
million options. And I think that's just as scary as me having no options.
Right.
What if you
I,
choose the wrong person? Or it's a
I
shiny object, shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, I agree with you about being naive. When I heard you saying I was naive, I'm just shocked that you went into Home Depot, you started building cabinets, and like to me, that's just would be impossible to put that together. But what I hear you say is, I say it differently. You say you were naive, which same. It's you don't know what you don't know until you know,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
that was the same when we launched a real estate company in a recession. We didn't know what we don't know until we know. And then we were just doing it. We weren't thinking about failing, of course. We were thinking about just doing it. And I say that a lot, just do it. And I think that's a lot what you did. You had a baby in one arm and you're like, I need to make money and I need to get over the breakup and just move on. And you just did it. And I think it's so commendable. And it is, but that is, you didn't make a bunch of excuses. You just needed to figure it out and you
I
did.
needed, I
It's
needed
incredible.
money. I needed something to do. And I always tell people, I say, listen, if you ever go through a really nasty breakup, you should rehab a house. Because when you're in there with a sledgehammer and you're ripping down the cabinets, you can just shatter the house to bits. Take all your anger out on the house. It's way cheaper than therapy and so much more fun. That's the
I know.
best. And then explain to fans like therapy, money. I'm good to go.
Well, you did it. That's incredible. Well, you've done a lot of things, so we've got to speed it up because you have so many things you've done. Created an industry. You didn't just succeed in real estate, you helped create the short sale space. What gave you the confidence to question the system and call banks when no one else was?
So and it's funny because most of the things I stumbled into, like the first rehab, I feel like a lot of stuff was just me stumbling into things, but then recognizing like this was a good thing. So I
Right.
had a house and I was going to, now, so now I'm out of rehabbing and I'm wholesaling. So every house, and in Florida, I was in Boca Raton, like the same area I'm in now in Florida. And I was making like 5 grand on this rehab because these houses were still like 67,000 houses. And the bank sent me over the final numbers and they had added on $4,000 worth of fees. Now I'm still kind of a new, I'm in my first few years. I'm making 5,000, I need the whole 5. And I get this thing from the bank, they faxed it over and I'm only going to make 1,000. They added 4,000 in fees. So I'm like, oh. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm really upset about this deal. So I called the bank and I said, listen, I'm not going to be able to close this deal. You added $4,000 in fees. If you don't take these fees off, I can't close. And they said, okay, just like that. And I was like, okay, like just like that. So I thought, okay. So I took off the fees. So then the very next house that came, I thought, I'm going to call the bank and see if they'll knock off some fees. So I just started calling every bank. Can you knock off fees, knock off fees? After about 10, I thought, I'm going to get really brave. I'm going to ask the bank if they'll knock off some principal. And at the time, they were using the word short sale, discounting the mortgage, discounting the note. Like there wasn't like a name, an exact name. And I called the bank and said, hey, I need you to knock some money off of this house. I found it has a lot of extra stuff. It's got this and this and this and this and this. And this was a house I was buying for 60. I already had it sold to somebody for 90. But it did have some extra things wrong with it. The bank took $35,000
Off.
off. They took
Wow.
$35,000 as payment in full
What's payment in full?
from 60, and my chin hit the floor. And I was like, well, let me crunch the numbers and I'll get back to you. And
Oh,
I was like, oh my God, did they just accept the 35,000 as a full payment? My chin dropped. So I'm like, okay, it's not what I wanted, but I'll take it. And then I bought it for 35. I still had a wholesale for 90. I was like, oh my God, what is this fresh heaven?
wow.
And I started doing it on every single house. I started telling other people how to do it. Then I wrote a little 50-page training program for investors in my local area. And then I thought the banks were leaning more towards the word short sale. So I got hold of an attorney and I trademarked the term short sale as it applies to real estate investing. And I actually have the R, a registered trademark.
Oh,
For the term
wow. That's pretty incredible.
as it applies to real estate investing, because short sales is also in the stock, it's in a couple industries.
Yeah,
So it's called a supplemental short sale. It's a supplemental trademark, but you have the R. So I have the R on short sales. And I was
very.
just like, when I called short sale, short sale, short sale, then I was teaching, I started using the term more and more and more. And then within a year or so, everybody and a brother called it short sales. And then I wrote a book, short sale pre-foreclosure investing. And then short sales were on the map.
That's yeah,
And
it was big everywhere. So, were you were doing the short sales? Had you taken them over? Were you taking over the homes, or were you partnering with them to do the short sales?
No, at that point, after I had been rehabbing for a couple of years, I discovered, because there were no real estate groups, there were no people coming through town teaching seminars, like that stuff still didn't exist quite yet. And so I only knew of rehabbing. Then they opened up a group, real estate investing, REIA, Real Estate Investor Association. They opened one up in Boca Raton, Florida, and I went to that. And people were talking about wholesaling. I'm like, well, tell me what wholesaling is. Like, well, we buy it, we sell it to a rehab. So I thought, oh, that sounds so much better. I'm going to do that. So then I wholesaled for a couple years, and then the fee on the one deal. Then I called, they took the fee off. So then I was I wholesaled for probably about 5 years. I averaged about 75 deals a year wholesaling.
Wow.
So I did that for like 5 or 6 just years straight, because I was making, like, to me, I was making more money than I'd ever known of any human to ever have. Like I
Wow.
was made millions of dollars, and I was like, how can you make this much money wholesaling house? I don't understand. I don't understand. So I started teaching because people were like, in Florida, REIA groups started opening up. Like, come and teach us. You seem to be doing a lot. You win like investor of the month every month and all these little contests and stuff. Next thing you know, I started teaching, and then I was on TV, and then someone asked me to write a book. And I don't know, it just kept rolling.
So, flipping over 2,000 properties is pretty extraordinary. What systems, habits, or beliefs allowed you to scale at that level without burning out? Because you were doing quite a bit.
Was a lot. Well, first of all, I hired an assistant. I had a big problem delegating. I still have a problem delegating a little bit.
Yeah.
So at one point, I was like, God, I'm working a million hours a week, and my whole thing of being with my daughter, I'm working, 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 working. And after she goes to bed at night, I'm on the phone for 3 hours. So I hired an assistant, was my first thing. Then I hired a bookkeeper, and then I hired a door knocker.
Oh, okay.
So I found that hiring senior citizens, because a lot of them are retired and they're kind of bored and they don't have a lot to do. And if they're sweet little guys with gray hair, girls, everyone will open the door to them. So I hired some door knockers. And then I had time to just manage like the business,
Right.
and then I started speaking. So once I started speaking, I would just take Ayla with me. I just took her traveling with me all the time, and we just went everywhere together. And I don't know. So I started delegating because I recognized I couldn't keep up that pace.
Right.
And a few years in, I was working so much, I was not doing the initial reason why I started. So, and it was hard for me because I like to door knock. So I'm like, okay, what if they don't say the right thing? And I hired someone to do the bookkeeping, which I was like, okay, you can take that job over because I hate that job and I'm not good at it anyway. And then I hired, people to do contracts, like a transaction coordinator that would
Uh-huh.
take the contract and contact the title company and do the due diligence to get it to the closing table, which is extremely time consuming. So
Right.
I started hiring people. So I had like 3 or 4 people that worked for me that did the stuff that I considered to be time consuming. So then I could
Those
just focus on like the homeowner and selling it to somebody else and just kind of focus on the money part of it. So then I was
right.
able to grow my business.
Well, those are very good. I mean, and it doesn't take away because you still get to once they connect with someone, you can still talk with the client, which is
Yeah.
your strength, obviously. And so that it's
Not
smart.
everybody wants to do 75 deals a year. If somebody wants to do 10 deals a year, you don't need to hire anybody. You can do 10 deals a year, do them all in January and take the rest of the year off. You know, you don't need someone. But when you get to 75, there's a lot of paperwork.
Right.
It
That's
was like bogged down. It's like, oh, and paperwork gives me anxiety. I was like, oh God, my heart, anxiety, there's too much paperwork. I need someone to help me. And that's hard to know who to hire because I'd never hired people like that. So I
right.
was really winging it a lot. I winged it a lot.
Well, you figured it out along the way. So you through Investors Edge University, is that your university? Investors
Yes,
Edge University.
my husband and I have a company, Investors Edge University. But
And
I
you
want to send people to my site, Dwanderful.
okay.
So I so Dwanderful. The reason that came about for my podcast, I took Dwan and wonderful and I made a new word.
Okay.
So my podcast is the most Dwanderful real estate podcast ever. So DWANDERFUL, Dwanderful. So I have my own website, my own podcast, my own thing over there. And so I wanted to offer to the folks if they'll
Yep.
go to dwanderful.com, there's a quiz. If they'll take that quiz, it'll let them set an appointment and for a strategy call, and
Okay.
I'll personally do it. They'll talk to me personally. I'm not going to send them off. I'm not going to try and sell them anything. I'll just talk to them for 45 minutes and
Okay.
see what they want to do. Maybe help them form a game plan so they'll take action because people need help sometimes taking action.
So question then for you. So you mentioned like something I've never heard of, a 30,000 or 60,000, even $100,000 house doesn't exist in California. So how would you coach someone that's listening to this podcast in a higher end market? I'm sure there are definitely foreclosures, of course, but they're at a whole different price point. Would you coach us any differently in California?
Those houses that I was buying, you got to remember that was 35 years ago.
Right.
So 35 years ago when I started, an average house in South Florida was like $50,000 to $75,000. But those same houses now, are 3, 4, 500,000. We live in Denver, and Denver in like the dead of the hood is still 550,000. Like a decent house is $1 million now. And California, I mean, everything's like a couple million around here. But the strategies are the same. The bank will do a loan modification regardless of the price of the house. You can do an equity partnering as long as they have equity, regardless of the price. So
Okay.
all the same things work. People still get served foreclosure notice in a big fancy house or a little house. Everybody still gets done. But I always tell people like, if you're gonna wholesale a $200,000 house versus a $500,000 house, do the $500,000 house because you're gonna make 10%. Basically, your fee for assigning is going to be
Okay.
10% of the value of the house. So if I have a
Okay.
choice of 200,000 or 500,000, I'm going to do the $500,000 house, so then I'm going to make 50 grand instead of 30.
Got
So
it.
I'm going to choose a more expensive house because it's the exact same paperwork,
Right.
the same work. But now we do, the town that we are rehabbing is in Clinton, Iowa. That's where my husband's from. Clinton, Iowa, along the Mississippi. And you
Okay.
can buy houses there for like 50 or 60,000. And then my kids fix them up when they rent them, and they rent for 1,100. That's the
Wow.
craziest thing I've ever seen.
That's
And every
amazing.
no, it's shocking. When I first started going, like, this whole house, like 2 stories, the yard, the sidewalk, the whole house is 50 grand. Like, how's that possible? Then those little Midwestern towns, they still have those houses like that. And so my husband's from there, so we bought some buildings, and our kids started buying rentals, and now we've got, I don't know, half the town under control.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. And I bet the people just are so appreciative and happy that you're basically cleaning up their town and their
Yeah.
living situations is so
Yeah. Yeah. And
amazing.
another just really key thing for people, opportunity zones. I know you know what they are, but if people don't know, there's a thing called an opportunity zone. So, like in Clinton, Iowa, for example, that's a town of 25,000 people. So if you pull it up, if you Google opportunity zone and then you do Clinton, Iowa, it'll show you. And like in the actual neighborhood, there might be 5 houses on this block that are an opportunity zone because the city wants someone to fix them up.
Okay.
And then on this side of the street, the houses are all beautiful. So in a little area, you can have 5 or 6 houses here, 5 or 6 houses here, a block here. That's just in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't seem like it would be an opportunity zone, but the city has gone through and said, okay, we need somebody to buy this house and fix it up. There's grants for roofs and windows and things like that. So people that are going to buy rentals, if they're going to keep them, they should try to get them in an opportunity zone. Because if you keep it for 10 years, you don't owe any capital gain.
Right. I just literally had a meeting last week in LA about this opportunity zone. So if I'm not mistaken, you buy the property and you have to improve it by 50%,
Oh, I don't know the exact amount. I think that might be different.
right, in
Um,
different areas.
I think
And
it's
then
different in different
you hold it
areas.
for
You
10
have to keep
years
it for 10 years.
and then you hold it for 10 years. So then there's no taxes. Is that correct at the end?
Yeah, there's no taxes.
And have you
But
done some of these projects?
every single thing that we buy in Iowa, every building, every house, everything's an opportunity zone.
Oh,
That's all
okay.
we have. So we're holding on to them for like our long-term retirement, because we bought some really great buildings that bring in a lot of money. And
And you,
then our kids are hanging on to all the rentals so that they have their rental retirement money. But
right.
we do specifically seek out the opportunity zones just because the city will give you money for things like
And when do they
windows.
money or do they lend you the money?
No, they give it,
Wow.
give it. The house needs work. So that's what
Right.
I'm saying. Even if you're in like your neighborhood that you live in, now I'm sure you live in a super fancy neighborhood, maybe not your exact neighborhood, but if you take a neighbor and you go out a few blocks, and then even if it's a decent neighborhood, but there's just like 4 or 5 really trashed houses, the city has people drive through, and you'll see like 5 houses in a row that'll be an opportunity zone where all the other houses look gorgeous just because they're so run down. So the cities, instead of tearing them down and fixing them up themselves,
Right.
they'll put them, and it might even just be 2 houses side by side. They'll put them in an opportunity zone so an investor will buy them and fix them up, and ideally keep them and bring up the neighborhood. So my kids own, I think right now my kids probably own about 20 rentals between them in Iowa, and they got them all out of opportunity zones.
Wow. So just to recap, so even though they have to keep them for 10 years, you're still getting the income from those rentals.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You buy the rental, you fix it up, you make the money, and so a lot of people think that opportunity zones are areas like where the houses are trashed, and those few may be in a lesser repair state than the ones across the street. But it's not because of that. They're doing that for someone to fix them up and bring up the entire neighborhood. So the cities in the opportunity zone, it's not like, oh, it's because it's in the hood. No, it's because the code people have driven every single street in the county, and they're like, hey, this area needs help. So they make it that way so investors will bring it up. So it may look a little trash when you get it, but
Right.
the value will go up and you'll bring it up, then you'll keep it. And next thing you know, you're like, oh, I made all that money and never had to pay taxes.
Right. And I was surprised. We were talking about, we were in when I was in LA last week, we were talking about opportunity zones, and they mentioned, the guy we were speaking to mentioned an opportunity zone in an area that I was shocked was even called an opportunity zone, because in the midst of it, there are other really nice properties. So I thought that
And
was
that's
fast.
and
I
that's
want to,
the thing, because you probably thought it has to be a bad area to be an opportunity zone.
yes, yes, yes. I
Not at
absolutely,
all. It's where the city has gone through and said someone needs to fix up this patch right here to match what's around it.
no, that
It's
totally
an op-
total sense. It doesn't have to be in in the, let's say, slums, for lack of a better word. It could be in a nice area. It's
oh,
just
yeah.
that is that these homes are not updated. So what's your feeling about people, investing in these opportunity zones or working in these opportunity zones outside of their area, going to another state? I mean, your husband is from Iowa, so you guys know Iowa. Do you have any feeling about or advice for people who are living in California, but they want to try another state?
Well, people that live in California, I mean, your houses are millions of dollars here. So if you want to own rentals and you pay $1 million for a rental and whatever it rents for, I don't know, $10,000 a month. If it's even empty for a month, it's like, can you honestly afford to eat that much money? So I tell people, if you live in a really, even like Denver, Denver's very expensive now. Find a little Midwest town, go visit it, make sure you like it, and like find an agent and just start buying. And once you get something, you get a property manager that lives there local. The property manager will make sure any repairs that are needed need to be done, and you'll have somebody. And then you can go visit a couple times a year and check on your investments and write it off. And so I tell people all the time, in the Midwest, like Ohio and even Michigan, Iowa, all those little Midwestern, the houses are still cheap.
Okay.
And so we have a property manager that does everything. So if someone's light bulb goes out or their toilet plugs out, it's like, don't even think about calling me. So we have a property manager. And then, after you get one or two or three in a little town, you'll have like a rehabber kind of a guy. Like you'll have people that'll look for houses for you. You'll have a local little tiny bank that'll be, oh, Debbie's coming in. She likes to buy and they'll want to meet with you and they'll give you money, like lots of it, because they want you to invest in their town. So
Oh,
we know the mayor personally, we get invited to all the parties, we know all the presidents of the two little banks, and they're always like, hey, we've got money, we've got a house, we've got this. Do you guys want it? And we're like, we'll take it. So now they call us with stuff and we take everything.
you're
Like,
incredible machine. So you've shared stages with icons like Tony Robbins and Robert Kiyosaki. How has your
mhm.
definition of success evolved from financial freedom to impact?
I don't know. I feel like my first initial thought of success was just having bunches of money. Like, I have money. I'm successful. I'll never have to work or be broke again. And then I do a lot of speaking still, and I love speaking with all the people and the big people. It's like, how am I on this stage? I don't even know how I'm on this stage for 25. And so I still kind of feel like a little bit, like starstruck sometimes with things
Yeah.
like that, because I'm just like, I wrote a book with Steve Forbes. Like, oh my God, I wrote a book with Steve Forbes. Like, how's that possible? So I just think that as far as impact is, um, each investor kind of find out what you want to do. Like for me, it's working with people in foreclosure and try to impact the people that matter the most to you, whether
Right.
it is a single house, whether it's having a webinar and teaching 100 other people how to do it, whether it's writing a book or something, and try to impact the people that like mean the most to you. And
Right.
then now that I'm older and I have grandkids, to me, the wealth is having the time to
Right.
stay in California for a week, to travel with my grandbabies, to, do all the things that I'm able to do and I don't have to worry about it.
Wow. This was so enjoyable. I had no idea. I never know what my hour has in store. And you are just such an inspiration, I'm sure, to anyone listening, definitely to me. And it's funny how things keep happening. Things keep coming. I was talking to another person, a woman like you who does something similar, and she was so inspiring. And you guys just go out there and do it. And it's you hear more men seem to do it. But when I hear it from a woman, it just, I don't know what it is. I find more clarity listening to you.
Yeah.
And and maybe just because we're this similar, but just thank you so much. So how do people get a hold of you before we have to jump off?
So us girls, we gotta stick together.
Yeah.
You go to Dwanderful, DWANDERFUL, Dwanderful.com. It'll pop up this little quiz. It's like 10 questions. Just answer the questions and set a time, and you and I will talk for 45 minutes, and I'll kind of help you wrap your mind around what you need to do to get started investing. If you're already investing, do the quiz anyway. Maybe I can help you fine tune your business a little bit.
And then are you speaking somewhere next that people could find you?
Well, if they opt in at the website, they would get an email every time I speak somewhere. But yeah, we speak all over the place. We have a real estate group in Denver that we run a group in Denver that meets every month. I don't know, we're speaking in Omaha. I speak all the time. We don't speak as much because before I used to speak sometimes 2-3 times a month. But now I'm like,
Do you have a group, a Facebook group page or anything people can go to, or is your
have a Dwanderful Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, my Facebook page. I think it's called Dwanderful Real Estate Investing. YouTube, Dwanderful Real Estate Investing. Just type in Dwanderful and like everything will come up. I have like 100 things. Be a part of all of it. Especially
Wonderful.
my Facebook. I just started that, so it's new.
Oh, okay. So thank you so much. This was incredible. Thank you.
Tune in each week for another episode of Mastering the Art of Success with host Debbie DiMaggio. Thursdays, 2 p.m. Eastern. Real stories, real strategies, real success.